everyone, welcome again to another 360 Timmy Minisode. In this episode, with the Oscars just round the corner, we're at the movies. The world of film and cinema has changed completely in the last decade. My first job was at an independent cinema, starting on the concession stand shoveling popcorn, through to being a projectionist. And I still love the movies to this day. In this episode, we're going to look at how the industry has changed, and we visit a man who's built a cinema in his garden. We also look at the technology that makes cinema very different today. When I started as a projectionist for a two-screen cinema, I was acutely aware I was entering a well-established trade where, largely speaking, the technology had not changed in 95 years. As we celebrated 100 years of the cinema in the UK, I was working with projection equipment that was over 40 years old, with some of the power supply kit that had massive Bakelite switches dating back even further. Really, the only things that had changed was the use of xenon bulbs instead of carbonite rods, and projectors could play long play film rather than having those changeover things that used to have in the past.
A carbonite won't last for the whole programme, it lasts just over an hour, if you're lucky. In the early days, when I first worked there, you had to rush to the toilet and rush back just in case your carbonite had gone funny. But then xenons came in, which is a lamp. It's the same principle, it's an arc, but it's enclosed in a glass bulb. So it's constant light, you don't have to worry about it. I mean, the only thing that they did do every now and again was blow up.
And of course the advent of surround sound. I found this fantastic film that documents how the industry has changed for projectionists with years in the industry.
Cinema Kingston, which is used to show third week releases, and I got a job there as a rewind boy only on Saturday afternoons, and then it sort of developed from there. I was too young to be a prodigy at that time. I'd still at school, but they said when you leave school we'll give you a job as a projectionist. The funny thing about it was the laws were so strict then I had to get a letter from my dad to say that I could watch H films and X films. That was the category. They were horror films and sort of spicy French films they used to show there. And as a kid, I loved that. But I was told not to look out the porthole.
I applied to my local cinema just before I left school to get a job, and started with them as a rewind boy, which in them days you did everything, looked after the boilers, changed the metal lettering in the canopy to advertise the forthcoming film.
I mentioned earlier that I used to work in a two-screen cinema, and when I was on shift as a projectionist, it was just me that had to run between the floors to operate the projector. Films going on at different times, having to bring the sound up, having to dim the lights. There was no automation. I had to be very good at multitasking and timing. Now when you look at the film just played and think that a projection team in a single screen used to consist of many levels, the chief projectionist, an understudy, they used to have a rewind boy who did all the odd jobs and manual labour, and also rewinding the film by hand. How it had changed when I started in the 90s.
There was a job advertised for an usher at the Scala Cinema, and I ran down and got the job as the usher, and I'd creep up the stairs and then go up and spend the time in the projection booth with, it wasn't a booth there, it was like a palace, the projection box. I very quickly volunteered my services to rewind films as the films came off the projector, and I'd be found in a projection box instead of in the auditorium. And that's how I kind of started projecting.
It was also in those early days of film a dangerous occupation to be a projectionist when film used to be made of nitrocellulose or nitrate. I was lucky enough to do a week's work experience at Pinewood Studios at the start of my career, and I was taken to the film archive there The custodian showing me around, and he opened up loads of cans of film, but he opened one particular can and took a gasp, and as he did, I asked him, well, what's wrong? And he said, well, you see that green slime on the top forming in the middle, he said, this is becoming unstable and starting to break down, and we need to get rid of this because this could cause a fire that would send the whole archive up in flame.
All films before 1953 were done on nitrate stock. Brighton Rock, which I know is only a black and white film, but it was an original release print from 1947 or 48, and it looked stunningly good. It's like what you see high definition TV now, and you could actually see the perspiration on the actors and you could see the makeup and everything.
Because in the early days they were flammable films, so that you couldn't keep them near the projector. And of course the old machines had to have sort of fire extinguishers attached to them just in case they did go up, because you've got a serious fire. But gradually, sort of end of the 50s, they changed to safety film, so that made a lot of difference.
As you can see, even when not unstable, nitrate film is incredibly flammable. Many of the early cinemas had fire shutters in the projection booth to stop a fire spreading.
Sweet.
This test fire shows 5,000 pounds of nitrate film, which burns in less than 4 minutes. Once ignited, it cannot be extinguished. It even burns underwater and makes its own oxygen, and the fumes that come off of it can kill you. So it was quite a dangerous period using that type of film. Luckily, post-1950s, this film started to be phased out, but of course, showing classic films, you still had to be very careful of nitrate. I've always loved the architecture of cinemas. They're unique, and not just in the UK. There are some beautiful examples. Here is one I visited in Tampa, Florida, a sheer movie palace. For one lucky fellow though, there is a cinema complete with neon lights in his garden.
I actually told everyone when I was at school that I was going to build a cinema when I'm older, and they all looked at me as if they thought I'm daft. Come on. It actually took me 5 years to build the cinema. Because obviously I was working as well, full-time job. I was doing 80 hours a week, Monday to Friday. I used to work for B&Q, fitting kitchens and bathrooms. I had a few people out with the brickwork, like some friends and stuff, when I could. But pretty much the whole thing I've done myself, yeah. Plastering, tiling, the roof. I remortgaged my house. I had £70,000 and it's all gone. So £70,000 has actually gone into the bill, yeah. It's surprising where it goes. Yeah, the foyer, like say 1970s feel. I've got the original ticket machine. I always put nice hot popcorn on when people come in. The old signs on the back wall which light up, I've still got the original ABC notices in for like nuts and ice cream and stuff. Then we go through into the projection room. We've got original Cinemecanica Vic-4 projector, which is 35mm, which I like to play old adverts and trailers and stuff. I have got quite a lot of films as well, which I want to get on eventually.
That is an amazing achievement. What a lucky family to have that. Of course, technology has changed in cinemas. Today, there's no such thing as a projectionist with the advent of digital projectors. What do you see as, I mean, you're starting out your film career where we've gone completely digital now.
Yeah.
What's the challenges for a filmmaker going forward, do you think?
Well, I think things always get easier. I think we live in a good time where anyone can pick up a camera and make a film. It's just whether you have the time and patience. But I think, like you said to me earlier, that when you did films when you were younger, you had to use tape decks.
Yeah.
Which obviously, I bet when I bet you were saying like when phones came out, oh, that's going to ruin filmmaking. and that's the exact same kind of thought I'm having now with AI and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I'm sure if we just use it as a tool, it won't take over.
Do you think that's a threat, AI? So at the moment we're in the middle of an actor strike in Hollywood.
Here we are, yeah.
Because they see that AI could potentially replace them. I mean, we've actually seen it, haven't we? We've seen Peter Cushing in Star Wars come back 20 years after he died.
Yeah, exactly.
And we've seen Indiana Jones 20 years younger in the latest film where he wasn't even in it. It was just his face.
Christopher Reeve in The Flash as well.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, they use AI for that. Yeah, it's quite, some would say it's unethical, others would say it's not. It's just, I guess just a constant challenge.
But yeah, for the special effects that I mentioned earlier, you spent hours keyframing and getting those right.
There's been, like that, the green screen car chase you were talking about took me about 4 months to do. Obviously I wasn't constantly working on it, but it was very, very difficult to get that perfect. And it gives me a headache thinking about it now. I'm just glad it's over with. But so in theory, AI should just help make that process easier for me.
Yeah.
So in some ways it's definitely good, but also in other ways it's bad because it's taking jobs away. But
there's no longer a need to feed miles of 35mm film that comes in heavy film cases. You just need to set up a playlist and all the lights and sound are automated. Quite boring, I think. There's also a lot of new gimmicks like IMAX, ScreenX, 4DX, but some classic film directors are not quite sure about this. Director Martin Scorsese has said he is concerned that immersive and 3D screenings risk detracting from the quality of films. Some cinemas have introduced immersive experience for movies, often known as 4DX screenings. These see audience sit in chairs that move with the action, while water and smoke are used to embellish the effects of the scenes. But Scorsese said such techniques can mean films don't necessarily work as well when these elements are removed.
4DX features. 4DX consists of two main types of effects, motion seats and atmospherics. Our motion chairs include two main movements, including roll and pitch, which can be combined to create endless possibilities. Phase air effects shoot forward bursts of air to express sudden actions taking place. Water effects spill off the screen and into the theater.
Well, that was a bumper minisode. That's all we have time for. As ever, please reach out to me with any feedback or suggestions on 360timmy.com. I have lots of regular episodes still available to watch, and I hope to restart the full interviews as soon as the weather turns less chilly and wet. Please like and subscribe, and of course, you have a super day.